The Desert Island Discs with Flavia on Capital FM. Fresh hits for Uganda.
Good evening and welcome to Desert Island Discs. I'm Flavia, and it's always a pleasure having you every single Sunday as we unlearn and learn what success looks like or means. The stories that are told here are always life-changing because, you really never know what you can relate to. Today, my guest is the CEO of Mandulis Energy. We'll get to know about that. Peter Nyeko. How are you?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good morning, and I'm so grateful
to
be here in the studio with you and your team at Capital FM.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Mandulis Energy.
Yes.
What do you do?
So at Mandulis, what we do, we deliver access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy. That energy can either be electricity or energy as clean cooking fuel or sustainable fuels for industry or eventually for other ecosystems. Alongside value-added products, such as the waste that comes out of our energy processing, create things like fertilizer, create things like green concrete. So the whole idea is a zero-waste ecosystem.
Great.
Farmers get an income from their waste. They get electricity to process their crops, to light up their homes and their businesses. And they get the fertilizer to grow more crops. They get the green concrete to move from, temporary housing to permanent housing.
So like a 360.
It's a 360
that's pretty cool.
all-around approach.
You do great stuff.
Everything we do is always priced at lower than the market whenever we sell anything, and costed at above the market whenever we have to buy anything. So we give more, we take less. That's the whole idea.
Now I'm intrigued to get to know the person. So Peter, every guest I say, just go somewhere in your childhood.
Yes.
Drop us there and let's unwind this story.
Absolutely. So I will go way back in time, over 40 years ago.
Okay.
To a little town, not called Bethlehem.
I know, I was like, I'm seeing how this story is unfolding.
A little town which is in that direction. On your way to Bethlehem, if you fly like a bird does, just before you leave Uganda, you'll end up in a place called Kitgum. And in there, that's where I was in kindergarten. Yes.
I've never been to Kitgum, so I'm not sure if there's a difference with the Kitgum of today and back then when you were growing up.
I guess there is a difference because back then I was really tiny, and so everything seemed so much bigger.
Yeah.
That's
what childhood does.
My favorite tree looked like
larger than life. Yeah,
it was incredible. And it was a palm tree, and whenever I would hug that tree, I couldn't get my hands around it.
Yeah.
But now I can get my hands around the tree. So it's Pastore Nursery School was where I started schooling, and it was next to Kitgum Airport at the time. And interesting memory is, looking at airplanes landing, and that inspired me.
Of course.
Because I'd always ask my parents and my grandparents at the time, how does an airplane fly? And what happens over there?
And where does it go to?
And where does it go to? And so on. And that was the beginning of my inspiration, linked to a couple of things which have meant a lot to me in life. One being engineering, and the other being, music and theology.
I mean, I don't know if you're telling me 40 years ago, theology, music, and that sort of, your mindset, or today that mindset makes sense. A couple of years ago, that wasn't really the environment we were growing up in, but maybe you can tell me about your family, what the parents did.
I mean, my school was within the Catholic Church in Kitgum at the time. So there was a parish there, and the kindergarten was next to the parish.
Wow.
So you were surrounded by the songs of the choirs practicing.
Wow.
My parents also were choir masters and choir mistress, so they had the choir at home practicing as well.
Interesting. So it was like a good corridor of song.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's hymns all around.
Yeah.
And Mom's Catholic, Dad's Anglican, so I had...
Wait, what?
Yeah, I had all the hymns you could.
Because the hymns are slightly different of the two.
So you get having all of that in.
That's
and
fun.
Yeah, and then there were lots of times when we would have to do performances as little kids. When the bishop came and so on. So it got me into dancing and drama.
Right.
So in the end, I mean, it all goes back to those initial memories. Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes.
Siblings?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're number what? If we're going to...
I'm the oldest of my siblings.
Oh, is that a good thing?
It's a blessing.
Okay.
I love them all to bits.
Yeah.
Babysat all of them.
That's what I was saying. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Deputy parent.
I love cooking. I've loved looking after them.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing to see them flourish.
Do you have, because when you're an older sibling, it's almost like that relationship that they call the deputy parent. You love them, yes. You've almost nurtured them. But it's almost like you miss out on the brother relationship and you're more like the adults, caregiver relationship. Where's the fun? Do you get the fun of being their brother? Their brother.
Absolutely. The thing is, I'd always be singing and dancing with them.
Yeah.
And now as they grow older, they are my light. They are my support system.
That's good.
It's a blessing. They know which jokes make me laugh. And they can see through me all the time. And
you can't tell them lies.
Yeah, and that's an honor.
It is. It is. We talked about school. The school you talked about. Talk to me about the school journey for you. Did you like school?
I loved school.
Yeah?
And I still do. Yes. It's learning never stops.
Absolutely.
Learning never ends.
Yeah.
So I had my early schooling in Kitgum.
Yeah.
And then I left the country.
Okay.
My parents have been international school teachers. So
right.
they've moved around the world, and that gave me opportunity to actually move to the UK to boarding school.
Oof.
Yes.
Not just move to somewhere different, but boarding school.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was awesome. Born halfway between a geek and a nerd. Wrapped in a dancer.
Yeah.
Who loves hymns.
That's a unique blend, Peter. Very unique. Very unique blend. Very, very unique blend. Yeah.
So I went to a school that was famous for two things.
Okay.
Acting, so music, dance, and drama, and rugby.
Wait, what?
It's a school that was set up by someone called Edward Allen, who was one of William Shakespeare's benefactors. So the school was set up, from the proceeds of the shows of Shakespeare all those years ago.
So creatives, obviously.
So it was all about being creative, being academic, and being sporty.
Okay. But that's good. That's an all-round.
A great all-round. It was a boys' school in the southeast of London, set in, more than 100 acres of just green, lush. Yeah, it was awesome.
You're having a big smile as you say that. It's almost like the memories just piled up on you. So you were obviously in creatives because we talked about the dance, academic, the geek is there, and the sports. Did you try
absolutely,
it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I did athletics. I was in the school first team for athletics.
Okay.
The school first team for basketball. I was in the third team for football.
Well, do everything, will you? Excel at everything, will you?
I really got to nurture my love for being on stage.
Right.
Yes. And it's great. People like Chutele Jofor. He went to my school.
Oh, okay.
People like Jude Law.
I can see. But you said stage. So that's, are you on stage multi-talented or you're picking one aspect of the creatives and taking that at that point?
On stage, my preference on stage is really kind of Shakespearean. But moving more, if you take Shakespearean and you add musical theater to it.
Oh, okay.
With a bit of comedy, that's kind of like my,
like a Broadway product, but not really. But for those who appreciate great, I hear you. Yes. I want to know what your first song choice would be at this point.
My first song choice, something that takes me back to the early days.
Okay,
it will be "Grateful" by Romeo Odong.
Romeo Odong.
It's a song that is both in Luo and English.
Right.
It's a modern day hymn, but it's a tune which includes, a traditional Luo hymn that we sang in kindergarten.
Okay.
But he obviously now has done it.
Modernized it a bit.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I woke up to tell you thank you, Papa. Hey. I came here to tell you thank you, Papa. Hey. My miracle worker, my way maker, my dream maker. My God is wonderful. My miracle worker, my way maker, my dream maker. My God is beautiful. I woke up to tell you thank you, Papa. Yeah. I came here to tell you thank you, Papa. Hey, Lord, I am grateful. My God, I thank you. I thank you. Everything you've done for me. My God, I'm grateful. My God, I thank you. I thank you. Everything you've done for me. Lord, I am grateful. My God, I thank you. I thank you. Everything you've done for me. My God, I'm grateful. My God, I thank you. I thank you. Everything you've done for me. I am grateful. Grateful. I am grateful. Grateful. I can do all things through you. I can do all things through you. My maker, my maker, my maker, my maker, my promoter, my promoter, promoter, my promoter, lifter of my head, lifter of my head, lifter of my head, lifter of my head, my power, my power, my power, my power. I can do all things through you. Hey. Lord, I am grateful. My God, I thank you. I thank you. Everything you've done for me. My God, I'm grateful. My God, I thank you. I thank you. Everything you've done.
Desert Island Discs with Flavia on Capital FM. Fresh hits for Uganda.
It's Desert Island Discs. I have the CEO of Mandulis Energy, Peter Nyeko. Your first song choice was Romeo Dong's Grateful,
Yes.
which was befitting since you were talking about hymns and your early childhood. And you said it's, you were talking about the Luo first. I almost asked you if you can actually speak Luo.
Alo Luo.
Oh,
Yelemo.
that's it. I might get lost. So let's enough.
I love languages.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
absolutely adore languages. So Luo is obviously what I was born speaking.
Yeah.
But you'll see from my song choices
The influences. Okay.
of
Okay.
the different languages.
So
yeah.
before, with the first part of the story, you'd said you were now in boarding school in the UK.
Yes.
Obviously, great environment because it nurtured your love for all the stuff that you like to do. As a geek,
Yes.
you get to study. There's a sport element. You can excel there. And of course, the creative stage. But let's talk about the geeky side. You were obviously studying. What were you studying, majoring in? What was cool for you?
School was awesome. And your younger years, you do everything, right?
Yeah, we try a little bit of
you
everything.
try everything.
Yeah.
Most difficult thing was having to choose when you get to A levels. And coming from a very artistic, background, it was my art teacher told me, follow your heart, your mind, and your soul.
Yeah.
Go for it. And I realized that things which I found very easy to do would be something I should choose. So I chose mathematics.
You found math easy to do?
Additional mathematics.
Right.
Chemistry.
Okay.
Physics. And languages. Modern languages.
Good.
And so I chose French.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this mix led you to what? I mean, this was where your heart was finding ease.
Yes.
But what were we going to package it to be?
I mean, I'd always not forgotten the two things. Not forgotten the interesting ecosystem.
Yeah.
Having had my kindergarten between a church and an airport.
Yeah, yeah. The engineering love,
So
how things work.
Love was there, and so I knew that I'd do two things. I knew that I would find a way to spend a little bit of time in the Vatican, and I knew that I would find a way to become an aerospace engineer.
You literally got the two things right next to you. You're like, there was a church near me, so I'll spend time in the Vatican.
Yeah.
And there was an airport near me. Like, what?
Yeah. And most importantly, my dear grandmama, she's gone to be with the Lord now, but
bless.
I would spend every weekend with her when I was a kid. And she'd always tell me these words, Buru Onyalo Match, which means it's the ashes that give birth to the fire.
Okay.
And that always inspired me to always look at things where whatever is seen as ashes, whatever is seen as worthless or useless
Right.
or no longer useful, that's where my compass for value always should go. And so it basically kind of led me towards engineering, but within engineering, sustainability,
Right.
waste to value. And even when it led me towards navigating the theological corridors, it was also looking at how that influence could be utilized to develop sustainability and impact.
Wow. How do you merge, and I'm talking as someone who's also multi-talented and multifaceted, sometimes, and now much older, where you need to define things?
Yes.
I find it much harder for me to define one world and the other, because people always need to make some sort of understanding of what you do, so they want to say, what does Peter Nyeko do, and they always need to define it. And when your interests sometimes are different, that merging point becomes a bit hard to explain to people. For somebody who was loving the church the way you were loving the church, and loving engineering the way you were loving engineering, these are not two obvious worlds. Did you find it hard? Because, you're clearly open-minded. So you knew what you wanted to do. Did you find it hard for people to understand you and what you were trying to do?
Not really, because the thing is, it depends who I'm talking to, right?
That too, yeah.
If during my education at Dulwich College, I got to spend time in CERN, where they split the atom, I got to really explore all the
science end of
most
things.
incredible science you could imagine.
Yeah.
But in my exploration of science, it connects to my exploration of theology at the same time. And theology becomes a very interesting dance where you find the science within it. You find the
And
art
theology
within it.
for the average listener is, you don't want to lose people. We're talking and they might be like, wait, he did what? He said it what?
It's really the study of, the religious text, the religious body of knowledge that we have around us.
Yeah.
And the in-depth study of it.
Yeah.
Where you go down to, what were the original manuscripts? Who were they written by? In what language were they written by? What was the sequencing of the words as they wrote those? And what was the context and how does it contribute? And what's the link to human history, human culture, human traditions? It's looking at,
So when we read the Bible and it's just, here's a story of David, you're reading beyond from the material to the where it was written, by who, the years, what was used in the year. You're going deeper.
I'm looking at his writing going, what are the mathematical, sequencing in his poetry?
Imagine that. So Songs of Solomon is different to you than the rest of us.
Am I seeing, a Fourier series? Am I seeing some interesting mathematical concepts in there?
Yeah.
What does it explain to me about how mathematical that poet was?
Interesting.
Yes.
So then there's your point.
Yeah.
There's the access for you and how the two loves match.
Yeah.
So you did engineering.
Yes.
At school. And then plot for me the next path for you after that.
And while I was at school, I continued playing basketball.
Wow.
I joined the ballroom dancing team.
Interesting.
And after 5 years of trying, finally became UK ballroom dance champion.
Well,
At the same time, got my multiple postgraduate degrees in aerospace engineering.
so you're studying and doing the love for ballroom dancing
Yes,
as well,
yeah.
excelling at the ballroom dancing and obviously passing highly.
I mean, the thing is,
I'm trying to see which ball dropped. None.
none.
Good.
We've all got two hands.
Yeah.
We have to use them both to stay balanced.
But how do you tap into using all your potential? And I ask that even for myself, not just the listener, because even when you know innately you can do something, how do you tap into the thing that implements, I guess, that executes? How do you tap into that?
The thing is, go back to when you were probably aged maybe 5, when you're at that place where everything is possible.
Yeah.
Where there's zero disappointments, where everything is just joy and peace. And that's, kind of when you connect with that inner child, you find...
Who doesn't see the no, who doesn't see the impossibility,
the
limits.
The limits, it's connecting with that. Each of us has that. We were all 5 years old at some point. And it's really kind of reconnecting with that.
Right.
And allowing that to feed the adult in us. Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes sense to me. Allow yourself to see the limitless in you.
Yeah.
Because as we grow older, we see the trouble. We see the no's. We see the barriers.
Sometimes life tries to make us feel that there are barriers and lows.
Because Peter, life happens.
I know it does happen, it does
Life
happen.
happens.
But if I go in character, right? You'll understand me. You're from the creative sector. If I go in character and go, I'm going to play the character of, the hard mind of soul of my 5-year-old self, but with the experience of my 40-something-year-old self. I will create that character.
Yes.
And I'll be on stage and I'll deliver.
Yes.
For myself.
Yeah.
And for the world around me.
Yeah. Guys, this might be a show about having to say, do they mean what they're meaning? Or is is an euphemism of something else? What's our song number 2? What's our second choice?
Tamalli Ma'ak by Amr Diab. I started with a tune from northern Uganda, where I was born. I'm following up with a tune from Egypt. In my understanding of how everything connects, the Nile connects us all the way through. I always encourage, the opportunity to connect the dots. I know that Egypt today is politically, geographically what it is.
Yeah.
But within my soul, I
We're
reconnect with the ancient Egyptian within me.
Right.
نصيب تملي معاك معاك قلبي معاك عمري يا أغلى حبيب يا أغلى حبيب ومهما تكون بعيد عني لقلبي قريب يا عمري الجاي والحاضر يا أحلى نصيب تملي حبيبي مشتاق لك تملي عليا تندهلك ولو حواليا كل الكون بكون يا حبيبي محتاج لك تملي حبيبي مشتاق لك تملي عليا تندهلك ولو حواليا كل الكون بكون يا حبيبي محتاج لك
Desert Island Discs on Capital FM. Fresh hits for Uganda.
It's Desert Island Discs, and you're going to have to help me. Timili Mark.
Tamali,
Tameli Mark.
like tamale.
Yeah.
Tamali.
Oh, Tamali Mark.
Mark.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. This might be the first song from Egypt that we're playing ever on the show. So, Peter Nyeko, thank you so much for bringing diversity, as only you would. My guest is Peter Nyeko, who is the CEO of Mandulis Energy, and probably giving us a chance to get closer to the radio and think deeper than we should. So, I mean, a lot of Ugandans today, I know a lot of Ugandans who study in the UK.
Yeah.
When you had just gotten there and probably your years of studying there, were there lots of Ugandan friends or Ugandan with you? Because today, I mean, I can point to a couple of friends of mine who've either done a master's there or something there, but I don't know if that was the case even back in the day.
I'd say at my school, when I was in, before university.
Yeah.
In the whole school, there were 2,000 boys.
Yeah.
There's probably one other Ugandan kid.
Woo!
Yeah. Who was many years younger.
Oh, okay.
And another Ugandan kid who'd been there earlier but had just left.
Okay.
So
it was just the two of you.
It was just in every season there would always be a couple of Ugandan kids there.
Okay.
At the university I went to as well, there were also another couple of of Ugandans, and we were really good friends. We still are. Mm-hmm. And and what's most beautiful is we've all built our lives in Uganda now.
Nice.
Many years on, and we always catch up and
that's good.
and reminisce,
on what it was.
Yes.
When did you get back? After uni?
After university, a few years after university. So after university, I first did some research.
Okay.
I went into academia, and then after that, I looked at entrepreneurship,
mm-hmm.
and so I came to Uganda and set up a bus company.
Okay.
A trucking company.
Okay.
And I was moving from Airbus to road buses.
Yeah.
Interesting shift. That it was
transportation.
Nice. Yeah, it's all the same.
Yes.
They all have.
I'm trying to look for the connection. You told us to look for the connections. Yeah.
And then I, went back and worked for a finance institution in the UK.
Yeah.
In climate finance. Financing the building of hydropower stations, solar power plants, renewable energy plants, and so on, buying and selling carbon credits, and then decided to set up Mandulis Energy.
What year is?
So I set up Mandulis Energy in 2012.
Okay, but that was of the inspiration from the work you did with climate financing?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did climate financing work 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
2012 to 2014, set up Mandulis. 2014, it was ready to
to take off.
Yes.
Did you have, because today in the beginning of the show you described what Mandulis energy is or does.
Yeah.
Did you already see this entire big picture even at the start years ago?
When I was working in academia within aerospace, my focus was in the human colonization of extraterrestrial planets. Like
What?
Mars, like the moon.
Peter!
And I looked at what do we need to do to colonize the moon and Mars. We need to have energy.
But Peter, do we need to colonize Mars?
But learning how to colonize Mars has helped me figure out how to deliver services on Earth.
Okay.
Because if you can do it on Mars, you can do it on Earth really easily.
Easily.
Yes. If you can do it on Mars, you can do it in Kitgum, you can do it in Kisor.
Exactly.
You know?
yeah, exactly. Because the resources, the mind shifts, everything that needed to go to Mars.
So when I'm going to a place that has no oxygen, but has carbon dioxide, and I have to plant trees to produce the oxygen and then do that whole process, and here I already have the trees.
Exactly.
I'm halfway there.
Okay, I didn't see it going this way, but I'm glad it did. Because for a moment there, I'm like, why are we conquering?
And what I'm doing today, I use hydrogen gas and methane gas to generate energy. Those two gases are rocket fuel. I'm using what I learned, but I'm using it to make a difference where I was born.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the world is changing.
Yeah.
In a few years' time, all aviation fuel will need to be blended with sustainable fuels. This same hydrogen and methane, which currently powers the homes and villages and industries in places like Nuoya district near Murchison Falls, as we scale up across the country and as we scale up across the continent, our excess hydrogen and methane will most likely end up being blended with aviation fuel to be used at Entebbe Airport before too long. So
you still have,
I'm just looking at, the fact that I may have done this work 20 years back.
Yes.
We may be at a point now where in another 10 years, we will definitely have all airplanes flying out of Uganda using sustainable aviation fuel blended with aviation fuel. It was important to be in a position to connect those dots.
I'm worried about the conversation of sustainable. Sustainable anything, especially, and I'm bringing back home.
Yes.
Uganda.
Exactly.
Because I'm not quite sure how prepared we are for the shift. Or, because there's one thing, it's like, for example, the internet. When any innovation, I come from the background of maybe software engineering, where I keep saying innovations are fantastic. In fact, we're late to innovate on a lot of things, but we're also not able to bring the conversation at the level it is elsewhere here, because what nurtures the conversation to happen isn't there. The people who are not internet users, don't even have access to a smartphone, are still many. So the conversation is brilliant, just not yet.
I would frame it slightly differently.
How would you?
Remember the second song I chose, right?
Yeah.
And the conversation around that.
Yes.
If I go back, we're not late to innovation.
We just haven't nurtured an environment for it, isn't it?
We are so early in innovation. When you look at the science around ancient Egypt and ancient Nubia, and you look at the medicine around the ancient kingdoms here in Buganda, going to Ankole, look at the agricultural technologies, the medical technologies,
especially medical.
And when you go back to my field, the aerospace science understanding around the building of the pyramids and all of that, and the civil engineering, the innovation has already been there. We just may have forgotten about it along the way.
I get what you're saying.
We just need to reconnect with that.
Yes.
Within. And when we talk to our grandparents and our great-grandparents, when we still have them with us, we can connect to that.
The solutions, I think, like you're saying, even with the pyramids and everything, we've always had the solutions, especially in the medical world.
Absolutely.
I mean, COVID showed a lot of people what we have the trees that will give you the answers. We have the plants that will give you the answers. Just figure out how to modernize the answer or put the answer out to the world. So our minds have met. What's our third song choice?
Third song choice, I started, I'm gonna do an interesting skip.
Yeah.
And I'll go for Com Hefet Sempre is a song in Catalan. Catalan is a language from Barcelona in Spain. But this particular one is sung by Josep Carreras. Josep Carreras or Jose Carreras is a great classical music singer. I first heard him live in Bristol, where I went to university. He went to sing at Clifton College, and this particular song, when you hear it, it was first sang in French, Comme d'habitude. Then it was sung in English, My Way by Sinatra.
Okay.
And this is the Catalan version. That's the version I loved singing.
Okay.
Because it allows me to express myself
better.
I find I express myself much better in Arabic and Spanish than I do in English.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
Sé que és molt a prop el meu final, sé que m'espera, ja ho sé, però no tinc por, per mi serà una altra frontera, jugant tot he perdut, no es pot pas dir que he estat exemplar i visc com he volgut, com he fet sempre. L'amor no ha estat res més que uns bons moments que he pogut viure. Cap d'ells no ha fet després que jo deixés de ser ben lliure. Voltant he vist mig món i encara tinc el cor alegre i faig de rodamón com he fet sempre. Si és que he sofert, si és que he plorat, no ha estat pas res, ni me n'he adonat. Només he après a ser feliç i si avui és un dia gris i a mi no em plau el faré blau com he fet sempre. Potser també he dubtat quan he buscat nova alegria. Pot ser la llibertat no l'he trobat allà on volia, però arreu tota la gent busca lluitant, plena de febre. Ja ho veig, mig somrient, com he fet sempre.
Desert Island Discs with Flavia on Capital FM. Fresh hits for Uganda.
It's Desert Island Discs, and my guest today, Peter Nyeko, who's the CEO of Mandulis Energy, is going to have to keep helping us with the titles of the songs. But what he's also done is sort of helped our palette of music to grow a few notches higher. So maybe grateful for that, yeah? I wanted to talk about, because, earlier we were talking about the relationship between the UK and Uganda and how, things like education, for example, are fostered, and a lot of other, especially even innovation. And you have your own story with that.
Absolutely.
Tell me.
I have an interesting story. Of course, on one side, it's having been through the UK education system.
Yeah.
From school to university to postgraduate to even now working very closely with UK universities, supporting their PhD programs, and so on and so forth. I've done two things in Uganda here. One has been setting up Mandulis Energy.
Yeah.
But the other thing has also been being part of the team that set up Kampala Diplomatic International School. And it's a UK curriculum school.
So that's you.
Just set up a new
building, yeah.
A new building in
I passed
Tinder.
there a couple of times.
Yeah, so set up at the same, just the year before we started setting up Mandulis in 2011. And so there is a great bond between the UK and Uganda.
Yeah.
First of all, Uganda was always a protectorate. And that's a very, it's a very beautiful connection. There's a lot of history there. And our education system has always been linked to the UK education system. To this very, very day, you've got a lot of people who have worked in education between these two places.
Yeah.
Students out of our school have gone to the UK for their further studies, and have come back. But even here in Uganda, we've got a lot of programs like the Shevening Scholarship, like the Commonwealth.
I have a few colleagues from the newsroom who actually used it.
I've been keenly tracking the media personalities
who have taken advantage of it.
And I applaud them, because when they do that, it actually raises the profile of the opportunities.
Of course.
And when everyone goes, okay, this gentleman went, this lady went, people who've been watching them on TV,
you come back better. You come back much better.
You don't just come back better, you inspire.
Yeah.
And inspiring takes that better to a whole other level, because there's a little kid somewhere who will go, my favorite news anchor went. I'll go in 18 years' time.
Yeah.
Like that's
connection.
But most importantly, then they came back and built the country.
Yeah.
I'll also come back and build the country.
Yeah.
That's what makes it really, really, really special. On this side with Mandulis, we've done now about 4 different projects as part of the Innovate UK Energy Catalyst ecosystem. We've done projects with the University of Huddersfield here in Uganda. We've done projects with the University of Oxford, University Imperial College London, here in Uganda as well. And we are now leading a project which brings together the UK, Uganda, Zambia, Botswana, Cambodia, Nigeria, and it's all linked to replicating the work we have, done here in Uganda, turning waste to energy, delivering, the most affordable, high quality access to energy and all the rest of that. But other projects in Uganda have benefited as well.
Yeah.
So the Innovate UK program is a results-based grant program, which is led by the UK government's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, but also the UK government's Department for Net Zero. And then what they do is every year or so, there is a pot of between 10 and 40 million pounds, which partnerships bringing together academia, businesses, startups, universities, etc., in former Commonwealth, kind of current Commonwealth countries and the UK, combine together and set up projects which last from 1 year to 3 years. And they're reimbursed after they have delivered results. They're reimbursed between 25 and 70% of what they have invested. Especially when it is linked to improving access to clean energy, which is affordable. Whether it's be for electricity or for clean cooking or for clean mobility in that kind of space. And from the last round, which was round number 10, out of an official fund pot of about 10 million pounds, close to half of it actually went to projects in Uganda. From the whole world.
Wow.
And that is really interesting. There are projects all across the country. There are more than 9 projects in Uganda right now actively running, involving multiple universities. And Mbarara University of Science and Technology is part of the ecosystem as well. And they're everything from solar. There's a project in Kasese that's doing, cold storage for farmers. That has helped farmers more than triple their incomes. it's very exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes, such things like the relationship with the UK and Uganda and the funding for us to even shine a light on the stuff that's happening. Because when you mentioned that, I'm like, in our same country, because it's easy for us to stay in one part of a city and not know how much of a difference is being made out there. So that's brilliant. They say just get out more, get out more. Go around and see the difference that so your company has been on for some time, and you've mentioned the ecosystem in which you support. It's not just Kampala that you're supporting. You're supporting Uganda. Everywhere. You mentioned when I was trying to box us into what innovations we're doing, but also working back home. I wouldn't say the good and the bad, but just what you've observed working back home, especially with the exposure that you're bringing and, what you're able to bring back home. What have you observed? Good or bad, I guess?
The first thing is right there, a sun. Which smiles on you every day of the year for at least 8 hours.
Someone said we should bottle our weather and sell it.
Honestly,
it should be our biggest, export.
It's fantastic, because it's great to always have sunlight for energy, for solar.
We take it for granted. We think it's nothing. It's just, it shines.
But it's also fantastic to not need air conditioning.
Yep, all the time.
And then more interestingly, for fashion, you can wear anything.
As simple as that, Peter.
You can actually utilize your entire wardrobe in Uganda. If you want the cold weather, you can go up, to the far north east, to the far southwest, and you find the mountains. And in those mountains, you can get enough weather, to really, really wrap up.
Yeah.
Like whenever I miss, spring, I'll go to Fort Portal. Whenever I miss winter, I'll go to Kisoro. Easy.
Imagine that.
If I need some really, really, really good old-fashioned summertime, I'll go to Karamoja. Everyone's happy. Yeah.
But also, are we a very fertile ground for whether it's the conversation on sustainability or innovation? Aren't we?
Uganda right now is pretty much the top country in Africa with regards to developing carbon projects. Carbon offset projects, carbon credits, renewable energy credits, carbon removal credits. There are more carbon credit projects running in Uganda right now than anywhere else in Africa. And we haven't even started yet as a country.
Imagine that.
Uganda has more renewable energy on the grid that is available to be used than most other countries in the world.
Yeah.
Uganda has a renewable energy mix which is almost 100% renewables. And it's very, very interesting, mostly from hydro, there's some from solar and some from bioenergy. But the way I look at it, Uganda has so much agriculture and so much agricultural waste. There's enough agricultural waste in Uganda to create enough hydrogen and methane and biochar fertilizers and green concrete to double our GDP.
Imagine that. And I was actually surprised. I think there was a conversation a few months ago I was having with people who were saying that the seeding, just the quality of seed, the conversation on quality of seed around the region and the continent is being championed here in Uganda. And I said, why? They said the soil. Your soil. Yep. I said something as simple as soil.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So I think we take our country for granted, but the things that can be just from the environment. Even when you talk about agriculture, just the things that Uganda champions. It's humongous. What's our fourth song choice?
Our fourth song. We're now on the fourth.
Yeah.
So
you had Romeo.
We've done Romeo. We've done Amdiab. We've done Jose.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something interesting now. Connecting with my Anglican roots as well.
Okay.
I'll go to Germany for this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Germany and Uganda have very similar colored flags, but this is a song which is sung in both English and German.
Okay.
And it's a song which you'll hear a lot in many of the fantastic cathedrals across the UK, from Westminster Cathedral to the cathedrals in Oxford and Cambridge. I like this version because it's in English the song is "The Day Thou Gavest, Lord, is Ended," but I want to play the German version to open up a few more interesting minds there. It is called "Der Tag, mein Gott, ist nun vergangen." It's The day thou gavest, Lord, is ended. Die Tag, mein Gott, ist nun vergangen. You know, it's a song which brings back memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the tune, I was starting to go, yeah. That sounds quite familiar. Yeah, interesting.
Der Tag, mein Gott, ist nun vergangen und wird vom Dunkel überweht. Am Morgen hast du Lob empfangen, zu dir steigt unser Nachtgebet. Dein Reich besteht und wächst bis allein dein großer neuer Tag gehört.
Desert Island Discs on Capital FM. Fresh hits for Uganda.
It's Desert Island Discs, and we have Peter Nyeko of Mandulis Energy. And just before the break, we was talking about how, just even the UK-Uganda relationship and the many great projects that are funded or supported and in many ways to bridge the two countries, excelling together.
Yes.
Although someone might have listened and thought, is that just for Peter? Is Peter unique because he was in the UK? Is it accessible for everybody? The collaboration, I know you mentioned Bar University. That's the only university in Uganda that's collaborative, or it's...
There are so many universities in Uganda that are part of this. I just remembered that project, which is involved using biogas.
Yeah.
But there are multiple universities across Uganda working with multiple companies in Uganda who have partnered with multiple universities in the UK and multiple companies in the UK.
Right.
And for the Innovate UK project, anyone can apply.
Oh, okay.
And they have regular visits. They came on a visit to Uganda a couple of years ago, and they spent a whole week here. And they spoke to the media. They invited everyone involved in energy and academia and connect people to each other.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, if you have a project idea, you connect with Innovate UK, and they'll help you find a partner in the UK who can work alongside with you on that project
to bring it to life.
Matchmaking and then they can also help you connect with universities that can work with you. And so it's usually encouraged as a project that brings together in a place like Uganda, private companies and universities. Yeah, place like the UK, private companies and universities. So when you have UK-Uganda University, UK-Uganda private partnerships together, and such a consortium, usually, about 4 partners or so, delivering on technology which is developed in the UK or Uganda, with the research and development in the UK or Uganda, but with a use case here in Uganda to deliver a solution. Great. And so the idea is that such a project is supported to go from, startup phase, ideation to proof of concept, scaling, and then given the additional support needed to get it to scale further. Wow. Cool stuff. And you've got many that have started like we did with a very small project, and now we've working now in more than 6 countries. Wow. Across 3 continents. But it started with one little
Even the
tiny
team has
project.
grown, yeah?
The team grows as well, but the team grows interestingly through synergies and partnerships.
Yeah.
Because when you now have a team which involves not just one company, but a group
Yeah.
of 6
You almost take advantage
different
of the
companies and
synergies
universities.
elsewhere.
Those
Yeah.
synergies means if I'm working in Cambodia, I'll work with those companies that are working in the UK and Cambodia,
Yeah.
who we were linked together with.
Yeah.
If I'm working in South Africa, the companies there who are working in South Africa and the UK. But it helps us to know that we can actually grow and scale without necessarily, breaking the bank.
Yes. That's key. That's very, very key.
Yes, yes.
You've talked about something that's really, well, I would say humanized, but I'll say that gently. You say, I go here if I need the summer, I'll enjoy this. And that also said, okay, I mean, there's the non-geek out of it. Once he puts the geek hat off, he enjoys his life. I mean, one could argue the things you're doing are fun for you and you enjoy the work, but I mean, there's a Peter outside of work.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely.
And,
I love going to Fort Portal because a few friends, came together and built a ballroom there.
Oh,
and I
wow.
go there to teach ballroom dancing.
No way. In
Yes.
Fort Portal?
Yes.
Oh, little of how I know my country, eh?
It's-
Ballroom.
Yes, ballroom dancing is we have a whole weekend where we just teach ballroom dancing every year, and we do that for charity because there's a charity there that's supporting disabled children across
Right.
Western Uganda. They've been doing it for more than a decade now, and they've even been honored by His Majesty and in the UK. So
Wow.
I love to use my gifts, if you may, to make a difference in place.
Other
So I
people.
just don't go on holiday.
Wow.
I go have fun, but I also
In true Peter style, huh?
connect the dots.
Yes.
It's
wow.
I love being on stage here in Uganda. I was on stage at La Bonita Theatre for at least 8 years, in 2011 and 2019, doing lots of musical theatre.
Yeah.
Tons of fun. I've been in probably a couple of films here in Uganda.
Yeah.
So no, I love to make the most of everything around me.
Because if somebody meets you in that other side of the world,
Yeah.
they might think that's pretty much all you do and you excel at it.
I mean,
And they meet you on this other end.
When you look at this song I gave you last, the song in German.
Yes.
It comes with all the work I do with the Church of Uganda. So I do a lot of work with Church of Uganda. We connect Church of Uganda to the Anglican Church in the UK and the Lutheran Church in Germany.
Yeah.
And as part of that ecosystem, I've been doing that work.
Wow.
All along. I mean, whenever I have free time.
Yeah.
But it's been going back since 2008. So yes.
Woof. I was going to say you don't have a life, but you have a full life.
I
don't know if that makes sense.
I have a life of gratitude.
Yes, you've got a full life. And family?
I don't have my own personal family as yet.
Yeah.
But I have my siblings
Yes.
and then my parents and my cousins and that whole
Everybody's
kind of,
still close knit and
everyone
still.
is very, very close knit and working in the work I do, it's our main product is a little stove which uses agricultural waste from the farmers, which we turn into a pellet for them to cook with.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And when they've cooked with that pellet, it produces a fertilizer for them to use in their soils. We've designed it in such a way that whoever cooks with the stove earns an income every time they cook. It's an earn as you cook model.
Ah.
That gives us an opportunity to connect with families through innovation, and gets us to get to a point where we're trying to get to where cooking for your family 3 times a day should not be a chore.
Yeah.
But should be something the
Enjoyable.
whole ecosystem is grateful
Also benefits
to you for.
from, yeah.
Because if someone cooks for their family and sells the biochar ashes from their stove and earns an income which is enough to cover school fees,
That's interesting.
cover health insurance, cover, whatever you need at home.
Basics, yeah.
The basics. So it really allows us to really value family, the institution of family,
Yeah.
and think of our innovation not just as crazy engineering developed for Mars, but an opportunity to finally enable, every mother that cooks for her family to earn as she cooks.
To also be empowered.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. I always ask my guests as we wind up what their definition of success is, because that's different for each of us based on nature, nurture, our experiences in the world, and hindsight as well, because after a while you start to see life differently. Today, what does Peter Nyeko define success as?
It's linked directly to the last song I'm going to choose.
Yeah.
Success is realizing that we're on a journey of gratitude. It's a journey of appreciating each sunrise and each sunset, of appreciating every opportunity we have to speak, to listen, to live, to share. It's realizing that we're all connected.
Yep.
We're all once little kids, wherever we may be in life, whatever we may be, doing whatever we are doing to, in our own way, make a difference that ensures the earth as we know it remains faithful to future generations to come, and acknowledging that it was faithful generations that came before us. Success is acknowledging that life is all about gratitude.
It is, though.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
It truly is. What you celebrate magnifies and multiplies. So you're absolutely right. They always say that if you're going through a rough spot, just appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
You'll start to see the good.
And this is why I love Uganda to bits. It's this amazingly crazy place where you find gratitude all around.
Everywhere. there's something somewhere to be grateful for.
People are always grateful. People are always celebrating,
we find a way to be happy.
For me as a geek, I call it, reverse entropy.
Yeah.
Entropy is, where everything goes to an order of more chaos naturally. But in Uganda, people turn chaos into joy.
Yep.
Into peace. Into appreciation, and then connect with each other around it. And I've really appreciated that, and I've learned a lot from it, and I continue to learn from it, because wherever I go, when I see a family, kids on the back, climbing up a hill, busy digging, planting potatoes, whatever, and singing songs and just being happy. It's
a true Ugandan way.
Yeah.
We will find joy. We will buy force by fire. Peter Nyeko, you did say that you would have your final song based on what we just discussed. But before you give us the final song, I also want to say thank you for sharing yourself with us, because I think yours is more than just a story. Yours is a story of wanting to do better for the world that you're in. So great. Tell us, what will our final song be?
This version is by a lady called Majo Solis.
Oh, okay.
And the song is O Tu Fidelidad. OH space TU space FIDELIDAD.
Yeah.
The English version is Great is Thy Faithfulness. And in Spanish it's O Tu Fidelidad.
You know what's unique about that song? They walked down the aisle on that song in church. It's
Cada momento.
Beautiful.
La veo en mí. It's a song which defines reality for me. Whether you call it success, whether you call it reflection, whether you call it whatever that state may be, even if it's weeping.
Yep.
It allows you to see the joy coming in the morning light.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
New mercies I see.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Yes.
It's been Peter Nyeko of Mandulis Energy. I think now we're going to look for Mandulis Energy just to understand and just to describe it for you. He's wearing a tie. I've been looking at that tie thinking, that's brilliant. It's black, yellow, red. Okay? And then it's got the Ugandan emblem.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, okay, either you're representing us to the fullest, or there's a story behind that tie. Why are you wearing our flag as a tie?
So two things. First of all, the word Mandulis, it's an ancient Nubian word from the pre-Egyptian empire back in those days. That civilization. And it's the word for Musana, the sun. But also, there is this flag means a lot to me. It connects me to the past, the present, and the future. It connects me to the words, by sun and fertile soil grown.
Yeah.
And My whole story is about sun and fertile soil grown. I tried to create fertile soil in Mars in my previous life.
Leave Mars alone.
I realized the fertile soil is right here.
Oh, good gosh. Leave Mars alone. Good night, everyone.
Oh Dios eterno, tu misericordia ni una sombra de duda tendrá. Tu compasión y bondad nunca falla. Y por los siglos el mismo serás. Oh, tu fidelidad, oh, tu fidelidad, cada momento la veo en mí. Nada me falta, pues todo provees. Grande Señor es tu fidelidad. Tú me perdonas, me impartes el gozo, tierno me guías por sendas de paz. Eres mi fuerza, mi fe y mi reposo. Y por los siglos mi Padre serás. Oh, tu fidelidad, oh, tu fidelidad, cada momento la veo en mí. Nada me falta, pues todo provees. Grande Señor es tu fidelidad. Señor, grande Señor, grande Señor es tu fidelidad.
Desert Island Discs with Flavia on Capital FM. Fresh hits for Uganda.